principle of timely entitlement delivery. Once a person's entitlement to value, compensation, property, or reimbursement becomes objectively established, delivery shall occur without unreasonable delay. No institution may retain another's earned value beyond what is reasonably necessary for verification, fraud prevention, or settlement. Most people have experienced it. You work, you finish the job, you fulfill your end of the agreement, and then you wait. You wait for a paycheck. You wait for a reimbursement. You wait for a refund. You wait for money that already belongs to you. This waiting period is so normal that many people rarely stop to question it. Yet perhaps we should. Why should a person who has already earned something be required to wait for its delivery? More importantly, what legitimate reason remains for many of these delays in the modern world? For most of human history, delayed payment made practical sense. Records are kept by hand, money moved physically, checks were printed and transported, accounting departments processed transactions manually. Verification often required days or weeks. In such a world, delay was understandable, but we no longer live in that world. Today, computers track transactions instantly. Banking systems move information in seconds. Payroll software automatically calculates compensation. Digital ledgers update continuously. Entire businesses operate in real time. The technological limitations that once justified many delays have largely disappeared. Yet the delays remain. This raises an important question. Are we preserving a necessary practice, or are we preserving an outdated habit? The principle of timely entitlement delivery begins with a simple observation. Once a person's entitlement becomes objectively established, the value should be delivered without unreasonable delay. Notice what this principle does not say. It does not say that verification is unnecessary. It does not say that fraud prevention is unnecessary. It does not say that disputes should be ignored. Those functions remain important. The principle simply asks that institutions justify any continued retention of value that already belongs to someone else. If a worker has completed an hour of labor, why should the employer continue holding compensation for weeks? If a contractor has completed the agreed work, why should payment remain delayed? If an insurance claim has already been approved, why should reimbursement remain trapped in administrative limbo? If a refund has already been authorized, why should it take weeks to return funds to their rightful owner? In each of these situations, the same question emerges. Who owns the value? If the value belongs to the worker, customer, contractor, or claimant, then continued retention requires justification. Without justification, the institution is effectively exercising temporary control over property that is no longer its own. This principle is rooted in a deeper understanding of ownership. Ownership does not begin when payment arrives. Ownership begins when entitlement is established. The worker does not suddenly become entitled to wages on payday. The worker becomes entitled when the work is performed. The contractor does not suddenly become entitled when accounting approves the invoice. The contractor becomes entitled when the agreed obligation is fulfilled. The customer does not suddenly become entitled to a refund when a transfer finally processes. The customer becomes entitled when the conditions for the refund are satisfied. The transfer of value should simply recognize a reality that already exists. This distinction may seem subtle, but it changes everything. Under many current systems, institutions behave as though they possess temporary authority to hold another person's earned value for their own convenience. The principle of timely entitlement delivery challenges that assumption. Convenience is not ownership. Administrative habit is not ownership. Tradition is not ownership. The rightful owner remains the rightful owner regardless of how slowly a system operates. This principle also helps reduce unnecessary power imbalances. Consider a worker living paycheck to paycheck. The worker may complete 80 hours of labor before receiving any compensation. During that period, the employer retains both the labor already received and the funds not yet delivered. The worker carries the burden. The employer enjoys the flexibility. This arrangement developed for historical reasons, But it is worth asking whether those reasons still justify the outcome. Modern technology increasingly allows compensation to occur in much smaller intervals. Some platforms already pay daily, others pay instantly. Some systems can transfer funds within minutes. As technological barriers continue to disappear, the justification for lengthy delays becomes increasingly difficult to defend. The principle, therefore, encourages a gradual movement toward higher resolution compensation. Instead of monthly, instead of bi-weekly, instead of weekly, compensation can increasingly approach real time, perhaps hourly, perhaps by the minute, perhaps instantly upon completion of measurable work. The exact implementation may vary. The principle itself remains constant. Value should move toward its rightful owner as quickly as reasonably possible. Importantly, this principle extends beyond employment. It applies wherever entitlement exists. Security deposits, insurance reimbursements, warranty claims, contractor payments, vendor invoices, settlement agreements, royalties, commissions, refunds. Any circumstance in which one party objectively becomes entitled to value creates a presumption of prompt delivery. This principle does not seek to punish institutions. It seeks to align institutions with reality. Reality is that earned value already belongs to someone. Reality is that ownership exists prior to delivery. Reality is that modern technology allows transfers that were once impossible. The law should evolve accordingly. Throughout history, many inefficiencies survived long after their original justifications disappeared. People continued doing things a certain way simply because they had always been done that way. The principle of timely entitlement delivery asks society to re-examine one of those assumptions. Why should people wait for what is already theirs? Why should institutions retain earned value merely because the retention has become normalized? Why should workers finance their employers through delayed compensation? Why should customers finance corporations through delayed refunds? Why should rightful owners bear the inconvenience when technology increasingly makes prompt delivery possible? The answer may once have been necessity, but necessity is disappearing. And as necessity disappears, principle becomes more important. A rational system of law should not ask, what has always been done? It should ask, what is justified? The principle of timely entitlement delivery offers a simple answer. When ownership becomes objectively established, delivery should follow without unreasonable delay. The future of compensation is not merely faster payroll. The future is recognizing that people should receive what is already theirs, not eventually, not after unnecessary waiting, but as promptly as reason, verification, and technology allow. Because ownership delayed is often ownership diminished, and a society that respects self-authorship must also respect the timely delivery of what people have rightfully earned.